Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Long Island Wargaming for a Game 3 battle report of a 3-day tournament at Brothers Grimm. And this is going to be up against Ogre Kingdoms. This is going to be a modified meeting engagement where it's the diagonal deployment. However, there won't be any reinforcements and everyone will start in the game. You don't have to do any rolling. And this game is going to be an objective scenario where there's going to be 5 objectives, one on the middle of the deployment line, and then they'll create an X formation so that they'll be everywhere on the battlefield. And we'll take a look at that right now. So we have one on the center of the deployment line, and then one, I guess, in each box if the half was if the table were cut into quadrants. So you have to control as many as possible, and you want to control more than your opponent. So that's the primary objective. Try to control more objective markers than your opponent. Secondary objective is to beat your opponent by 300 victory points, and then the tertiary is a secret mission which you will pick, and I end up picking destroy your opponent's rare, and I do that because he's got little to no rare and I'm pretty confident I can take it out. So I go ahead and roll from some spells. I have Death Frenzy, which is wonderful, Poison Attacks, Wither, and Cloud of Corruption. So with a lot of Ogre units, small random Ogre units, I feel like Cloud of Corruption could be beneficial. So I'm going to need you guys to weigh in at the end of this battle report because there will be a defined winner as per the tournament, but there's some gray area which we can try to fill in as we go and just kind of come up with a consensus as what you guys think who should be considered the winner of this game. So for those of you who don't know, the meeting engagement is a diagonal deployment line, and you can deploy 6 inches from that line, and the coins on the battlefield are the objective markers. So, from left to right, my opponent has a unit of 6 bulls, 3 iron lead belchers, 3 Mornfang, 3 more bulls, and then a unit of iron guts with, I believe, there is a BSB, a tyrant, and a slaughtermaster in there. There's some terrain in between, and then we've got a stonehorn, some more lead belchers up top, some more bulls, a small unit of 3. So we've got these small little MSU ogre units, which are pretty interesting. And somewhere in there is a Mornfang, not a Mornfang, a Sabertusk in between the lead belchers on the hill and the 4 bulls there to the right. For my deployment, you guys know my units. I've got some rat darts out on the flanks. I didn't know how to deploy, so I ended up getting a little stuck here. My Storm Fiends are stuck behind, but you know what? With close quarters, I can move up and I'll be in 18-inch range, and they can see over the Storm Vermin, so it's no big deal. Looking out here, I've got my Engineer in between the Red Ogres and the Storm Vermin. I'm not quite sure why I did this. I know he's got very, very limited shooting. I don't think the lead belchers can really see or in range of him from either of the 2 angles, and I think I just did this so that he can chaff up and shoot the Doom Rocket first turn. Also, I didn't want to get charged, perhaps, because if he gets charged, I know the Doom Rocket you can shoot as a counter shot. I'm pretty sure you can do that, but I think I wanted to keep him out this way he can do what you gotta do. I don't really have a good explanation there. The BSB is in the bunker. The Gray Seer is in the front rank of the Storm Vermin. I don't anticipate fighting combat initially, and I want to be in range to get some spells off in case I get turn 1. The Hell Pit is right on the line, so when he pivots, he's going to be about 10 inches away from the Stonehorn, so that should be pretty nice. Here's just another angle of the table. You can see I'm in this picture here. Pretty funky picture, but there's me and my opponent. And here's an angle from my opponent's side, which you don't usually get to see, but here is the Skaven Horde on the opposite side of the table. So I got my slaves on my flanks, and there's gonna be a lot of bodies there, so I can hold up objectives. Off the screen to the right is the lightning cannon. So what I should have done instead is I should have put the lightning cannon right on top of one of the markers, or the rules stated within 3 inches of the marker for contesting the objective. So if I had done that, I wouldn't have had to worry about moving back to get it later in the game. So that's something, you know, if I had premeditated how I was going to play these scenarios, I would have actually done, but that's all in hindsight. So we go ahead and get turn 1 here. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm kind of upset how this game went, but let's go through. So the Hellpit Abomination rolled pretty shitty. I believe after the pivot he needed like 10 inches, and usually that's not too hard to do with 3d6, but he falls short about 3 inches, so he doesn't get the impact hits on the Stonehorn. The Stonehorn is going to get his impact hits on me, which I believe is 3d3 instead of his normal attacks that turn, which is something I learned new. I play Ogres, and I didn't realize that the impact hits from the Stonehorn are actually in place of his attacks that first round of combat if he charges. I never really knew that. That's very interesting. But anyway, the Rat Ogres are getting pretty much pinned down by the fact that the Hell Pit is in front of them. So I was kind of hoping that the Hell Pit goes ahead and smashes through the Stonehorn and makes room for the Rat Ogres, but obviously that didn't happen. And the Rat Darts are just kind of shuffling forward and get in the way, which is what they're supposed to do. Now, I do have to move up some of my troops to make way or make room for the Storm Fiends, so that they're at an 18-inch range and they can shoot up those Iron Guts, which, let's face it, there's 3 heroes in there and 5, 6, 7 Iron Guts, so I'm pretty confident I can kill them. So, something to notice here, my opponent has his Stonehorn lodged right up against the impassable terrain, which it should be an inch away, and this kind of goes ahead with that video, about 5 or 6 videos back. Did this really bother me? No, it didn't. In a tournament, should he have been an inch away? Yeah. Did I feel like teaching this guy the rules 100%? No, because this is game 3 and I wanted to go home and there was like 3 inches of snow outside and my 45-minute ride turned into 2 hours. But that's one of those things where it's like, do you need to teach your opponent or do you just let things go by? And I'll link that video below if any of you haven't seen that. That's a topic that Paul K threw up. So in Magic, I do go ahead and get Death Frenzy off onto these guys, which makes them super threatening, super happy about that. I also have a scroll still, and I do have 3 tokens this game. I rolled up my D3 tokens for my grace here. So we move into shooting. The Storm Fiends unload 9d6 shots. 9d6, not 90. 96. And we take off, I guess, 5 Iron Guts here, which is totally awesome. I leave a BSB, a Slaughtermaster, and a Tyrant along with a 3 command in there, and you can actually tell this army is a work in progress conversion, making all of the ogres more like werewolves. They have like pig heads. Here's just a close-up shot of the Mournfang. You can see they've got these pig heads and some green stuff, but back to the game. So this is what the end of my turn looks like. I do have my bunker chilling out on top of that objective, which is nice, but like I said, in hindsight, it should have been the lightning cannon. So we go into my opponent's turn. His turn 1 ends. He gets a charge onto the Storm Vermin. I think this is a mistake made by me by letting them get too close. I mean, they were very... for the Mournfang it was a bit of a charge, and the Iron Guts it wasn't too much of a crazy charge. You know, maybe an 8 or a 9 to get there. But nonetheless, he makes them. So I'm kind of in trouble here, but don't forget I've got Death Frenzy on these guys. I lost like 1 or 2 guys from Death Frenzy at the end of my turn, but, I mean, come on. I got plenty of guys here, plenty of attacks. They've got the Storm, the Razor Banner, so -2. But the annoying thing is just alone in this game, this is the first time I decided to put the Bonebreaker with the Rat Ogres, and look where he belongs. He belongs back with the Storm Vermin. And now the Rat Ogres are over there doing nothing. You can see up to the right that my opponent does get a charge with the Stonehorn, so he does his 3d3 impact hits at, I believe it's strength 6. My toughness is 5, so he needs 3 to wounds, but again, it's not as many attacks, especially when half of them are going to be regen. And he gets no attacks in close combat because it's the turn he charged. So in Magic, he gets Brain Gobbler off onto the Rat Ogres, and +1 toughness for the Bulls and the Mournfang. He gets these both off with Irresistible Force, so there's nothing I can do about it. He rolls up a 7 for both miscasts, and it ends up being no big deal to him. So I'm still sitting on a scroll, which really sucks, and I kind of wish I was able to get some of that magic taken care of, but this kind of puts him at a good advantage. But at least the Rat Ogres passed there. No, I'm sorry, he did it on the Storm Fiends. The Rat Ogres are immune to panic, so the Storm Fiends, he was trying to get the turn run. You can see the Saber Tusk did go up in front of the Rat Ogre, so I'm going to have to waste a turn killing that and overrunning. And this is how many dice I get with the Death Frenzied horde of Storm Vermin. The only thing I didn't do was give the Gracier 2 attacks instead of 1. You can see that little blue die. Probably should have given him 2 attacks. But I've got 3 attacks for each guy in the front. And then the champion will get an extra die. And 2 attacks from support attacks with the Horde. Now, the only issue is the toughness. I'm strength 4. Everything else is going to be toughness 5 with that spell up. Little tough to deal with, but I do have plenty of attacks here, and evidence that the player is a bit newer. He didn't direct any attacks towards the Gracier, who yes has a ward save, but he probably could have killed him. So for the Hell Pit, I roll up Feed, which is the only one I didn't want to get. So I believe it's the initiative test, or it's a strength 6 hit, and it's no armor saves, multiple wounds. Now the Stonehorn has multiple wounds halved, round up, or round down, or whatever. But either way, on the D3 I roll a 2, but you're going to have it, and unless I roll a 5-6, I can't, you know, do more than 1 wound to him. If I rolled a 5-6, it would have been doing 3 wounds, but then you have it and round up, which would have been 2. So D3 multiple wounds will only ever do 1 to 2 wounds to the Stonehorn, which is cool, very defensive, but I end up doing 1 wound to him, he ends up doing 2 wounds to me. So there is a lot of death here. Not as much death that there should have been, but a lot, and it's all on my end. So I do take a Mournfang down, which is something worth, you know, being happy about, especially since he gets only 2 since the initiative order. I didn't take a bunch of wounds to impact hits, but just too many Storm Vermin are dying here. I end up killing 2 Iron Guts, and then doing a wound or 2 to, you know, the variety of heroes that are in there, but not enough to kill any of them, obviously. And I just need to kill 1 more Iron Gut to get rid of entire units. So I am stubborn, since I have 1 full rank, and I am going to end up sitting there. Oh, and I do lose Death Frenzy from that. So here we go to Skaven turn 2. Slaves are kind of just hanging still there on the left, but I do go do a charge with the other slaves against the Lead Belchers, which shouldn't be a big deal, because if you see, the BSB and the Tyrant are so far removed from them that I should be able to deal with them with my charge, my 3 ranks, maybe a wound or 2. So we'll see how that goes. The Red Ogres do charge the silly little Saber Tusk. The Storm Fiends move down so that they can shoot this turn at, say, the bulls in the back, but not worry about getting overrun in case the Storm Vermin flee. And I move one of the Rat Darts over there by the building to prevent the bulls from getting through. If they charge, which I don't think they can see, the Rat Dart would flee, but I'm pretty sure I'm out of line of sight there. So for magic, I decided to go for Cloud of Corruption, which I think would be pretty beneficial to killing some of the high armored stuff and maybe the Iron Guts. And I'll let you take a quick look here. So the Gracier is in the front right part of the Storm Vermin. So essentially everybody is affected by this. Everybody. It ends up being, though, that I roll a 1 for the Iron Gut unit, which was the most important one for me to roll well on, and I end up missing out on that, but I do get the Storm Vermin, and I think a wound or 2 ends up going, the Mournfang, but a wound or 2 ends up going over to the Stonehorn. So a Mournfang drops, as you see, a wound is done to the bulls, the 6 bulls in the back, there's 1 less, and I ended up doing 3 wounds to a Storm Fiend, which kind of sucks. That was kind of counterproductive. But a wound is done to the Stonehorn. So I end up killing 2 bulls from the Storm Fiends. Could have been a little bit better. I think they passed their panic test, which is annoying, but it is what it is. So up front here, this is awesome. I end up not killing them, I end up running them down. I have a charge and 3 ranks, which is combat res 4. He ends up doing 4 wounds, but I have a musician. So I actually tie him and he loses by 1 and he runs away and I chase him down, which puts me in a great position. Now these slave rats can make a mad dash to the left to go and get the objective on his side. However, it's getting to the point where this game is very, very, very slow. We're only through turn 2 or part of turn 2, and it's already like an hour and a half in, which is problematic. My opponent, nothing wrong with the guy. I think he just was a newer player or just, you know, slow with the rules, which is fine, but it was kind of enabling me to make decisions that were best for me winning this game. So instead, I keep them where they are and try to get the objective to the right. We'll take a quick break here so you could see this piece of interesting terrain. It's like two zombie women or spirits or something hanging out on top of that stone. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, so I shared it with you guys. Okay, moving on. So in combat, I lose like 10 more guys, and I do a few wounds to some heroes, which is good. The unit isn't lined up exactly because of that giant weapon from the Tyrant, but the Slaughtermaster looks like he has a wound on it, and I think the Tyrant has a wound but there's no marker, and then the Iron Gut himself has 2 wounds, so I have to kill that last Iron Gut, which would be wonderful, and then there's a wound onto the Mournfang. I'm down to 1 rank, and he's down to a rank of 3, so I lose Steadfast. In which case, he runs me down, which is great. He runs far enough so that he can't see my bunker, which I'm very happy about. I haven't mentioned anything about the lightning cannon all game. I'm not quite sure what it's been up to. I think it's been just misfiring. I'm pretty sure it misfired the first 2 turns. And this is how we end my turn. And the Rat Ogres had to run forward and stop. And I end up also killing the Stonehorn, which is wonderful. So now the Hellpit's just going to reform and face this way. So now we are starting up Ogre turn 2. This is only Ogre turn 2. So he goes ahead and reforms his parent unit and the Mournfang. They are now facing as so. And that's really the end of it. I mean, he's got a unit of bulls, 6 bulls over to the left holding that objective you can see in the top left-hand corner of the screen, which is pretty good. I haven't advanced with the slaves because I feel like that's a dumb move for me. There's 3 lead belchers over there that have really not been doing anything effective, maybe shooting some sleeves. But really my anxiety has to do with the 1 Iron Gut, which is yielding full points for the unit, because I don't think we were doing half... Actually, no, he's down to 25 points, but he's yielding half of the points of that unit. So I need that Iron Gut dead, and I need to start killing some Ogre heroes to scoop up some points. But that's really it for his turn. So we move into my turn 3. It gets a little sloppy here. I decided to get a little cocky too. So I've got this 3 bull unit and these rat darts. Now I figured, hey, flank charge, combat res is already at 2. Maybe I'll do a wound, I'll get combat res 3. I don't know what I was thinking. I decided, hell, I'm going to make that flank charge against these guys that are really facing nothing right now and can't do any harm to me. But I make this charge anyway, stupidly. The rest of the table kind of looks like this. What ends up happening is I remove my BSB from the unit and then go ahead and put up the clam rats in a way so that he would have to charge them in the front and overrun. Now, again, a little sloppy, I reformed the Rat Ogres to face that way instead of facing more towards us, towards the bottom of the picture, because after he would have done that, he could either, after he would have charged the clam rat bunker unit, he would have overran and I could charge him, or he would reform and hold on the spot. Either way, the Rat Ogres are facing a poor position, because I'm thinking maybe I need to scoop them through and get into the Ogre unit themselves. No, they should have been more in a setup support position, but they're not, and that's again hindsight, but that was some sloppy play there. The Storm Fiends move away so that they can shoot at the Iron Gut unit, and also notice that up on the top right, my Bonebreaker Lord has left, you know, the battle. He's my Lord, and he's going to go deal with these 4 Rat Ogres so that I can get rid of them and claim that objective. Now the slaves are, I don't actually show it here correctly, but they're turning to, I guess, go towards the other side so that they can get the objective. So this shot over here is just showing you that the lightning cannon is still alive and I have a rat dart that's running to the objective over here, since now my bunker unit is no longer claiming it. So over here I end up losing a guy, or maybe another wound or 2. Either way, I end up losing this combat, which really sucks. I lose by 1, or we tie and he has a, I think this is a full command, just this unit right here. So that's something I forgot about. So we have a little standard piece on the bottom that's supposed to represent the fact that he's got a banner, and my opponent explained to me that he's a standard, so I'm not holding that against him because he explained it to me. Obviously the model isn't as representative because it broke, but he ended up having a standard and then tying with the musician, so I lost by 1. And maybe those were the factors that I didn't consider when making this charge, but I broke, which really sucks. Because then I proceed to give him a really, really nice charge on my Storm Fiends. So that was a huge misplay. So, Ogre turn 3, halfway through the game here. We have a charge onto the slaves with the Mournfang. No big deal to me. I don't have much leadership, but hell, I have a reroll. I am steadfast with leadership 5. So be it. Now, he does go ahead and make a charge onto the bunker unit. The Iron Gut himself is dead based on shots made by the Storm Fiends in my previous turn. And he now closes in on the Storm Fiends themselves and gets that charge there. On the top of the screen, you can see I run down the bulls that actually charged me this turn by the Rat Ogre Lord on Bonebreaker. I think he didn't anticipate how strong they were, or strong he is, so he goes ahead and kills them and chases them down, which leaves me 3 inches within that objective, which is great, which now leaves the slaves 3 turns to run over to the objective under the Ogre player's book. So I can do a swift reform and move 3 inches and then move 20 inches by the end of the turn to clean up that objective. So the bunker's dead and the BSB doesn't decide to run, and I've got the slaves that decide to hold to my surprise, and that's it. I got a help hit out in the middle of the field. We got a couple bulls running around. Not much. We've got 3 heroes, 3 lead belchers, 6 bulls in a unit, and a Mournfang that I could easily kill with the lightning cannon, which you can see is still in this game. Storm Fiends die, it is what it is. But this is the last turn that I have. We only completed half the game. This is 2.5 hours. And like I said before, my opponent was a bit slower, and I'm not going to be one to be a dick and say, you know, let's go, let's play the game. But it ends up costing me the victory here, because I've got 3 turns to finish up his troops and claim up all the objectives. Now the slaves, like I said, they've got plenty of time to go to the objective. My Bonebreaker has time to get to the objective, or he's already there. The Rat Dart that's being faced by the 3 Ogre heroes, he's got enough time to go over and get that objective and avoid being killed. The Hell Pit Abomination can go clear the left side of the table. The Rat Ogres can clear off the heroes, or at least do some damage. With no substantial shooting, I mean, Lead Belchers could, but unlikely, kill the Hell Pit Abomination. I probably could have cleared off those 2 units and got that objective. I mean, the only thing that would have went well for my opponent is the Mournfang would have eventually broken the slaves, because leadership 5 really isn't that great. But I've got so much going on for me here, and I don't have the turns to complete it. And that's what kind of upsets me. In my book, I consider this a victory, because if this was me and my buddies, we'd play it out, and we'd say, okay, in turn 4, 5, 6, this is what essentially would and should happen. Slaves would go get the objective. The slaves would break over here, but who cares? The Ogre heroes would either go chase chaff and not do anything, or turn around and try to kill the Rat Ogres and the Hell Pit Abomination. But the thing is, I end up losing this. I lose the primary objective because he ends up having more, or the primary objective, he ends up having more objective markers than me. Or we tie, at least. I think we end up tie. So we contest there in the middle. He's got one on the left side, and then I've got one by the Bonebreaker. So we each have 1, so it's a tie there. While realistically, I should have been able to scoop up more and got the victory there. So we tie the primary. The secondary was beat your opponent by 300 victory points. He somehow has enough victory points on his side to either tie me on it or break me on it, because he's got so many points sunk into his heroes that he actually beats me by 300 victory points. He either beats me or ties. I don't remember exactly. And then we both get our tertiary. Mine was kill his rare, and he got something else. So he ends up getting more campaign points than me, or more tournament points than me, even though, without me being a cocky bastard, it should have been me. And I mean, my opponent might watch this video, and I have no problem with him whatsoever. He was a nice guy. He was just happy to be playing this game. He said, dude, this was an awesome game. I really enjoyed it. He had a good time, and at the end of the day, I don't want people to hate this game. I want people to have a good time, but I didn't enjoy this game. I mean, I enjoyed it while we were playing it, but I didn't enjoy the fact that we didn't finish it, because I have... Look how many attacks that Rat Ogres would do against those heroes. Those heroes are already beat up a bit, and most of them are fighting with great weapons, so they'd go last, and I could probably kill them with Rat Ogres. Help and Abomination is there. I know I'm kind of bitching at this point, but I consider this a win to me, but the question is to you guys, who does this game actually go to? As per tournament regulations, we went through our time, we didn't finish the game, and, you know, he won. But in my book, I think it's a win to me. We left the table like this with 10 minutes left, because the TO said, all right, let's wrap up your turns, and then, you know, the tournament will be over. This right here, going into turn 4, if this was me and my buddy Ryan, we could bang it out in 5 minutes. Because we would do all the important stuff and leave the non-essential and move along. And I mean, it's coming up to my turn 4. The Rat Dart would have moved right past, and the Slaves would have moved towards the objective on the top. Like, it's just very evident to me that I should have gotten the victory here, but obviously I didn't as for the tournament. But alright, I'm done ranting. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments and ideas below, and we'll come to a consensus about this. So, again, nothing against my opponent. Great guy, but who do you think won here?